The world is divided into two groups, those who move the pieces, and those who are moved without ever realizing it. There is no middle ground. You've felt which side you're on. You walk into a room and nothing changes. No shift in energy, no pause in conversation. You exist, but you don't register. You speak and your words land politely, then evaporate. Not because they were wrong, not because you lacked intelligence, but because power wasn't listening. Meanwhile, someone else enters. They say almost nothing. Yet the room bends toward them. Eyes follow. Decisions slow down. Opportunities rearrange themselves quietly, as if by instinct. They are not louder than you. They are not kinder than you. They are not working harder than you. They are operating on a different level of reality. Here is the truth that is never explained to you. Power does not reward effort. It does not reward sincerity. It does not reward goodness. Power rewards leverage. And leverage has nothing to do with how much you deserve. You were taught that visibility comes from contribution, that respect comes from competence, that connection comes from authenticity. Those ideas keep you obedient, predictable, replaceable. Because in the real world, power does not ask who you are. It asks what you control, what you signal, and what you can withhold. If you have no leverage, you are background noise, useful, perhaps, but invisible. And invisibility is the most dangerous position of all, because you don't get attacked, you get ignored. If any part of this feels uncomfortably familiar, if you've lived it but never had language for it, stay with me. What comes next are not opinions. They are the rules operating beneath the surface. You were told a simple formula: work hard, be kind, be authentic. So you followed it, you stayed late, you helped others, you tried to do the right thing, even when no one was watching. And what did it earn you? Responsibility without authority, work without recognition, visibility without influence. You didn't rise, you became useful. And useful people are easy to replace, because fairness is not a rule of the world. It is a story the world tells to keep you compliant. Merit is comforting. It gives meaning to effort, but meaning does not move power. Power moves before effort arrives. Decisions are made in rooms you are not invited into. Judgments are formed before you speak. Opportunities are assigned, not discovered. By the time your talent enters the equation, the outcome has already been decided. This is why you feel invisible, why your ideas only matter when someone more powerful repeats them, why you are praised privately and ignored publicly. You are not failing because you lack intelligence. You are not failing because you lack discipline. You are failing because you are playing a strategic game with a moral rulebook. You believe the game is about contribution. It isn't. It's about positioning, about perception, about leverage. Power does not ask how hard you worked. It asks how difficult you are to ignore. And here is the part most people never accept. Power is not cruel. It is not malicious. It does not hate you. It simply does not care. Indifference is colder than rejection, because rejection acknowledges your existence. Indifference erases it. And as long as you keep playing by rules that don't exist, you will continue to wonder why nothing changes, even as you give everything you have. That confusion is not accidental. It is the cost of ignorance. Niccolo Machiavelli understood something most people spend their entire lives avoiding, not because he was cruel, not because he was corrupt, but because he was honest. He looked at people without romance, without hope, without the need to believe they were better than they are. While others wrote about how humans should behave, Machiavelli wrote about how they do behave, and that distinction changes everything. He saw that beneath manners and morals, human behavior is driven by a few relentless forces. Self-interest comes first, not occasionally, always. People act in ways that protect their advantage, their comfort, their survival. Even generosity is often disguised self-preservation. Then there is fear, fear of loss, fear of humiliation, fear of being replaced. Fear governs decisions far more than logic ever will. Add ego to the mix. The need to feel superior, to be admired, to be central. And finally, status. The invisible hierarchy everyone senses but pretends doesn't exist. Who speaks first? Who interrupts? Who waits? These forces are not flaws. They are constants. Ignore them, and you will forever be confused by human behavior. You will wonder why loyalty evaporates, why promises dissolve, why power rewards the undeserving. But once you understand them, the fog lifts. You stop taking outcomes personally. You stop moralizing results. You begin to see patterns instead of injustices. Machiavelli did not invent power. He did not create manipulation. He did not corrupt society. He simply described the machinery already running beneath it. And that is why his work still unsettles people centuries later. Because it forces a choice. You can cling to comforting illusions and remain a pawn moved by forces you don't understand. Or you can accept reality as it is and gain leverage within it. Machiavelli chose clarity over comfort, and clarity, once seen, cannot be unseen. You think connecting with powerful people is about being liked. That belief is not innocent. It is why you are ignored. Likability is a social comfort. Power is a strategic calculation. When you approach power trying to be pleasant, agreeable, relatable, you signal the wrong thing. You signal need, and power does not respect need. It exploits it. Connection is not emotional. It is positional. Power does not ask who you are, where you came from, or how hard you worked. Those are irrelevant questions. Power asks something far colder. What do you control? What do you influence? What happens if you are removed from the equation? If the answer is nothing, then you are background noise. Society teaches you that sincerity creates trust. In reality, predictability creates control. Society teaches you that authenticity attracts allies. In reality, raw authenticity exposes weakness before protection exists. This is why honest people are often used. They reveal everything too early. Their motives, their hopes, their hunger. Power watches quietly and takes notes. Success does not come from being open. It comes from being intentional. It does not come from effort. It comes from leverage. And leverage is built long before anyone decides to give you a chance. If you keep approaching power with your heart exposed, with your value unproven, with nothing but sincerity in your hands, you won't just be rejected. Rejection would at least acknowledge you. You will be used. Your labor will be extracted. Your ideas will be borrowed. Your loyalty will be assumed. And when you are no longer convenient, you will be forgotten. This is the danger of misunderstanding the game. Power is not moved by how genuine you feel. It is moved by how difficult you are to ignore. Until you accept that truth, every interaction with power will feel confusing, unfair, and exhausting. Once you do accept it, the fog lifts, and the game finally reveals itself. Powerful people rarely feel powerful on the inside. Their authority looks solid from a distance, but up close, it is often fragile, maintained through perception rather than certainty. Their identity is built on being the center, the sharpest mind, the final voice, the figure others orbit. This is why most people fail the moment they get close. They mistake proximity for permission. They over-explain. They correct. They showcase intelligence too early. They try to prove value by shining brighter. And the moment they do, something subtle shifts. The powerful person doesn't feel impressed. They feel challenged, not intellectually, existentially. Because when you appear too competent, too insightful, too independent, you stop looking like an asset and start looking like a rival. Power does not eliminate rivals openly. It sidelines them quietly. Invitations stop coming. Opportunities dry up. Your name disappears from conversations you never hear, not because you were wrong, but because you were dangerous to their self-image. The strategic alternative is restraint. You do not diminish yourself. You redirect yourself. You frame your insight as alignment, your intelligence as support, your ideas as extensions of their vision. You ask questions that allow them to arrive at conclusions you already see. You let them experience the pleasure of insight while you control the direction of thought. This is not submission. It is camouflage. By allowing power to feel superior, you lower its defenses. By lowering its defenses, you gain access. By gaining access, you gain influence. You let them wear the crown publicly while you quietly reinforce the structure holding it up. Power remembers who made it feel secure, and it protects those people instinctively. Never outshine the master in the light. Influence is built in the shadows. Neediness is never silent. Even when you say nothing, it announces itself. It leaks through timing, through posture, through the way your eyes linger a second too long. Ambition, when exposed, turns you into a tool. The moment someone powerful understands what you want, they understand how to control you. If you want status, they dangle recognition. If you want money, they delay it. If you want access, they ration it. Your desire becomes the leash. Most people fail here because they confuse openness with honesty. They believe transparency builds trust. It doesn't. Transparency builds predictability, and predictability is exploitable. Power does not trust what it can easily read. It studies it, then uses it. Mystery, on the other hand, creates gravity. When your motives are unclear, attention sharpens. People begin to speculate, and speculation is a form of investment. They start asking quiet questions. Why is he here? What does he want? What does he know? The mind hates open loops. Uncertainty demands resolution. This is why silence unnerves people more than speech, why calm unnerves more than emotion, why restraint unnerves more than enthusiasm. A man who does not reveal his hunger forces others to project their own. And projection is leverage. This does not mean being cold or distant. It means being contained. You speak freely about ideas, not outcomes. You discuss interests, not objectives. You share observations, not ambitions. You allow others to feel comfortable while keeping the core of your intent sealed. Never reveal your endgame while the board is still forming, because once the destination is known, your path will be redirected by forces stronger than you. Power respects what it cannot immediately categorize, and the less they know about what drives you, the more carefully they will treat you. Concealment is not deception, it is protection, and in the presence of power, protection is survival. Power does not move out of compassion. It moves out of calculation. Mercy is expensive. It costs time, attention, energy, and risk. And powerful people are constantly protecting those resources. This is why appeals to fairness fail, why sob stories are politely acknowledged and quietly forgotten, why being deserving rarely translates into action. Power does not ask who needs help, it asks what problem needs to disappear. Most people approach influence like beggars. They explain their struggle, they justify their potential, they hope empathy will do the work leverage cannot. It never does. Every powerful individual lives under pressure. Deadlines, enemies, decisions that carry consequences no one else will absorb. If you add to that pressure, you become noise. If you remove it, you become valuable. This is the shift that changes everything. You stop asking for opportunities and start positioning yourself as relief. You do not say, I need a chance. You say, here's a problem you no longer need to think about. You do not ask, can you help me? You demonstrate how you reduce friction, risk, or effort. When you absorb a burden they hate carrying, you become difficult to replace. Because people do not protect what they like, they protect what they depend on. This is how leverage is born. Power is transactional by nature, but it despises obvious transactions. So you disguise value as alignment. You frame solutions as shared goals. You let them believe the benefit was their idea. The moment a powerful person realizes that life is smoother with you nearby, a subtle fear forms. What happens if you leave? That fear is not hostility, it is attachment. And attachment is stronger than goodwill. Power does not reward loyalty. It rewards usefulness that feels indispensable. When you become the answer to a problem they cannot solve easily, you stop being optional. You become infrastructure, and infrastructure is never ignored. Availability is one of the fastest ways to destroy your value. When you are always reachable, always agreeable, always present, you signal something without realizing it. You signal that your time is cheap. Power does not respect what is cheap. What is constantly available fades into the background. It becomes part of the environment, seen but not noticed, used but not valued. Most people make this mistake because they confuse access with importance. They believe proximity creates influence. It doesn't. It creates familiarity, and familiarity breeds dismissal. Power follows the same laws as economics. Scarcity creates demand. Excess creates indifference. This is why powerful people protect their time obsessively. It is the one resource they cannot replace, and they judge others by how they treat their own. When you give your time away without resistance, you reveal that it has no cost. Strategic absence is not withdrawal, it is calibration. When you are present, you are focused, engaged, undistracted. You make people feel seen, heard, understood, and then you leave. Not abruptly, not emotionally, but deliberately. You do not linger, you do not chase follow-ups, you do not rush to be included again. Your absence creates an open loop. Where did you go? What are you doing? Why are you not waiting? The mind fills silence with curiosity. Curiosity turns into valuation. This is the shift. Your presence becomes a reward, not an expectation. Your time becomes something to be earned, not assumed. Power begins to adjust around you. Meetings are scheduled more carefully. Requests become polite instead of entitled, not because you demanded respect, but because you withheld access. Strategic absence creates gravity. It forces others to orient themselves toward you. Never disappear out of weakness. Disappear from strength, because what is missed is measured, and what is measured gains weight. In power dynamics, absence is not emptiness, it is pressure. People do not want truth, they want confirmation. Truth threatens identity, confirmation protects it. Every powerful person carries a private narrative about who they are. The visionary, the realist, the savior, the misunderstood genius. That narrative is fragile, and they defend it instinctively. Most people try to connect by asserting themselves. They talk about their opinions, their experiences, their intelligence. This is noise. Power does not bond with difference, it bonds with recognition. The fastest way to enter someone's inner circle is not to challenge their worldview, but to reflect it back to them. Slightly refined, slightly elevated. When they speak in terms of dominance, you speak in terms of strength. When they speak in logic, you respond with structure. When they speak emotionally, you soften your cadence. You match rhythm before content, tone before words, energy before ideas. This is not imitation, it is alignment. At a subconscious level, the brain asks one question: is this person like me? When the answer feels like yes, trust forms automatically. No proof required, no justification needed. They relax, their guard lowers, their defenses dissolve. Because familiarity feels safe, and safety is rare around power, you are no longer processed as an outsider. You are categorized as one of us. This is why mirrors are dangerous. You bypass logic and speak directly to identity. You do not persuade. You resonate, and resonance is addictive. People crave those who make them feel understood without explanation, seen without exposure, validated without flattery. But there is discipline here. You never overdo it. You never parody them. You never disappear entirely. A mirror reflects. It does not replace. Remain solid beneath the surface. But on the surface, let them see themselves. When power looks at you and recognizes its own image, it does not question your presence. It protects it. Because losing you would feel like losing a part of itself. Power does not appear suddenly. It accumulates quietly, and it always follows the same four forces: scarcity, emotional control, dependence, information. These are not tactics, they are gravity. Scarcity is the first signal. What is rare is valued. What is common is dismissed. When your attention, time, or presence is always available, it loses weight. Power measures value by resistance, not generosity. Then comes emotional control. The calm person dictates the tempo of every interaction, not the loudest, not the angriest, the calmest. Emotions reveal urgency. Urgency reveals weakness. When you react, you expose leverage points. When you stay composed, you remove them. Silence unsettles people because it denies feedback. It forces others to fill the space, to explain, to justify. And whoever speaks more gives away control. Dependence is where power solidifies. When others rely on you to maintain order, clarity, or progress, your position becomes structural. You are no longer an option, you are a requirement. People do not remove what they depend on, they protect it. Finally, information. Power belongs to the one who understands more than they reveal. Information shapes perception. Perception shapes decisions. Decisions shape outcomes. When you control the frame, what is discussed, what is ignored, what is delayed, you are no longer reacting to reality. You are organizing it. Most people fail because they do the opposite of all four. They are available instead of scarce, reactive instead of composed, replaceable instead of necessary, transparent instead of selective. They speak to be noticed. They emote to be understood. They reveal to be trusted. Power watches and waits, because restraint is louder than enthusiasm. Stillness is heavier than motion. Silence is not absence, it is pressure. And pressure, when sustained, reshapes the room around it. Here is the paradox that governs all power dynamics. To gain power, you must not need it. The moment you need approval, access, validation, or permission, your leverage collapses. Need creates urgency. Urgency creates tension, and tension exposes weakness. Power can feel it immediately. It shows in your posture before you speak, in the way your voice tightens at the end of sentences, in how quickly you agree, in how carefully you avoid friction. Neediness is not emotional, it is structural. It places you beneath the other person before the interaction even begins. Detachment does the opposite. Detachment creates gravity. When you are willing to walk away, your body changes, your shoulders drop, your breathing slows, your movements become economical. You stop trying to be impressive, you stop trying to be understood. You start listening instead of performing. This is when the shift happens. Power begins to lean toward you, not because you demand attention, but because you do not require it. The person who needs the least controls the frame, because they are not negotiating from hunger. They are choosing from abundance. This does not mean arrogance, it means sovereignty. You have your own ground, your own direction, your own internal authority. So when you sit across from power, you are not asking to be included. You are evaluating compatibility. And that reversal is unsettling. Most people orbit power because they want something: approval, safety, status. When power encounters someone who does not orbit, who does not bend, who does not chase, it notices, not consciously, instinctively. You stop being a seeker hoping to be selected. You become a strategist deciding where to place yourself. And in a world full of people grasping upward, the one who stands unmoved becomes impossible to ignore. That is the paradox. Power does not follow desire, it follows independence. This sounds cold. It is, and that discomfort you feel right now is not accidental. It is the friction between illusion and reality. Look around you carefully. Not at what people say, at what actually happens. Were hierarchies built on fairness? Were empires sustained by kindness? Were decisions made because someone deserved them? Or were they made by those who understood human nature and acted accordingly? The world does not reward innocence. It protects it only until it becomes inconvenient. Remaining unaware feels safe. You get to believe the system is broken instead of designed. You get to blame luck, timing, or other people. And you get to stay invisible. Because invisibility is comfortable. No responsibility, no risk, no confrontation with your own potential. Waking up is different. Waking up means realizing that ignorance was never protection. It was permission for others to decide your position for you. Knowledge is neutral. It does not make you good or evil. It makes you aware. But awareness is dangerous because once you see the rules, you can no longer pretend you don't have a choice. You either continue playing blind or you learn how the game actually works. This channel is not here to reassure you. It is not here to motivate you. It is not here to make you feel good about where you are. It exists for one reason only, to sharpen perception. So don't subscribe to support this channel. Subscribe to mark the moment you stopped drifting, the moment you stopped waiting to be chosen, the moment you accepted responsibility for how power moves through your life. This is not entertainment, it is alignment, and alignment changes trajectories. Welcome to the inner circle.